I'm going to screen you all.
I'm so happy I went before. I was just thinking.
Don't worry, I shared it all
I saw you
over.
too.
Don't worry, I shared it.
Hi everyone, my name is Zana Kenjar. Is this working?
Yes.
My name is Zana Kenjar. I'm an independent leadership consultant and I'm an author of #1 international bestseller, Becoming a Legacy Leader. I'm so grateful to be here with you, with all of you Macedonian women and gentlemen, being able to get to know everybody. I am so excited truly. For that 37 years being in this country, I've never been in this type of gatherings. So thank you so much, Mito, for having me here. So one of my favorite leadership skills ever is celebrating successes. So no matter what we do in life, whether it's in our personal life or professional life, celebrating successes it truly could be a skill for you to learn if you don't know that skill. It's how do we celebrate people and their accomplishment and other people that they're seeing that, and we can do that in a few different ways. We can celebrate people by handwritten notes in business. We can celebrate them by actually meetings, or also just making sure other people view that and want to be part of that success. So I want to invite you here for one question. What is your biggest accomplishment in America as a Macedonian woman being in this country? And I'll give you a little background about myself. I came here as an immigrant when I was 16 years old from Macedonia and from Struga. I love my town. My town is Poetry Town. So my biggest accomplishment is, after 35 years of being here, I wrote a book for my brother's journey, and there I have a chapter from Macedonia. My brother's wish was to be there, to travel to Macedonia. He didn't go to Macedonia for many years. It depends on the situation of his life. So I'm gonna read that poetry, and one of the poems I wrote is about the Poetry Town Struga. So as everybody knows, once a year, Struga is there's the biggest festival in August, and I long to be there. So all the time. And being from there, I never forgot my roots. That's why this day is a very big day for me, and I really appreciate it. So let me get the book. And my biggest accomplishment is leaving a legacy. So how do we leave legacies for people? So this is my brother. And my favorite poem at the end is that I wrote. And I think today is, who was I talking to? Today's poetry.
Yeah, today's is it International Poetry Day?
International Poetry. So it's a great day, right? Mm-hmm. So chapter 7 of this book is his wish, visiting the motherland Macedonia. All right, so my poetry, Struga. You hold in your palms the most beautiful lake and black river that runs through your veins. When I think of you, my darkness you drain. Traveling to you, it feels like there's no more rain. The August month shines in magic poetry nights. Festival for all, with all sorts of lights and bites. Oh, how I long for those nights to be near, with my best friend to recite our poetry each year. Thank you. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to you. What is the biggest accomplishment in America as it pertains to your journey as Macedonian woman? Let's hear from you guys. And I bring a lot of joy in a lot of companies as a leadership consultant, so I like to play games. So I'm going to throw this ball to someone, and when you answer, you can throw it to someone else. How about that? And if you answer, guys, I brought Macedonian candy and snacks.
Yep. I'll answer it. Anything for the candy.
So my favorite candies, guys, for my favorite koje životinsko carstvo, creme banana, Aerocreme.
Yep.
Oh my God, these things are great. Okay, so who wants to start? Okay, Emma, you said you.
Yep.
All right.
I'll do it for the candy.
All right, Emma.
So my biggest accomplishment is playing Division I basketball in the United States.
All right.
As you can
Whoever picks it
tell.
up. Hey, whoever picks it up.
Zana, you got it,
All right.
Zana.
My biggest accomplishment would be getting my master's here as an immigrant.
All right.
Nice. Just surprise somebody.
My biggest accomplishment as an immigrant going 3 years to college.
All right.
Good job, Mama.
I had 3, they have 6 years school, so I had a whole 3 college. So don't ask me how to
Right here.
I know it's not that great at
Yeah, we need
greatest
basketball.
ball.
I'm not an immigrant. I'm just visiting Macedonia, and for that I thanks a lot for Neto because he invited us every year somewhere. So to be part of a big Macedonian family, it's a big accomplishment for me.
Thank you.
All right.
I'll take this. So I'm also not an immigrant, but my biggest accomplishment is getting my Juris Doctorate as a first gen in the United States. That meant a lot to me because my parents came here and gave me everything that they couldn't have. And also for UMD for helping me draft Michigan's, I believe it was Michigan American Heritage Month. So that means a lot to me because I got to speak and let everyone know about our culture.
Thank you.
So I'm born here in New Jersey, and one of my biggest accomplishments is first generation getting my master's degree in financial crime and economic financial crime and fraud management.
Let's go safe.
I'm also not an immigrant. I'm a product of immigrants from Canada, and one of my greatest accomplishments actually only very recently. I am a writer, and my first story was accepted for publication at a major magazine, international. So there's 2 parts of why it's an accomplishment. Number 1 is that it's featuring Macedonian people in the story, number 1. And number 2, I'm like 2 generations out of having literacy and going to school. So it's a
Woo!
really big deal.
Yay! Go,
I'm
Christina.
gonna go this.
Hi, so also first gen here, so that's my mom, she tells her story. For me, I would say joining the UMD board, I think was one of my most proud accomplishments. And then of course also getting my doctorate of pharmacy as well.
Awesome. Yourself.
Third generation immigrant. I consider my biggest accomplishment raising the family here in New York, raising 2 wonderful children, putting them through college and grade school, and while having a successful career and doing it as a single mom.
Good job, Mama. I think Sashka. Who didn't go?
So, really, my best accomplishment is to finish my PhD. Yes, I'm a radiologist, subspecialties in musculoskeletal radiologist, and I'm not an immigrant, I'm from Macedonia, I'm visiting here my friend. And tomorrow, Natasha Garrett, who will have a speech. She's my friend from elementary school.
That's awesome.
And I haven't seen her like more than 10, 15 years, and this is a little surprise for her.
Awesome.
Oh.
I understood the question to be a little bit different, so I'm going to answer it as I understood it. I understood the question to be, what am I most proud of as a Macedonian woman? And so what I'm most proud of is to have come to a place where I'm very proud of being a Macedonian. What I mean by that is I immigrated when I was 12 in Canada. I immigrated from Yugoslavia. I didn't even know what Macedonia was really at the time. And then as I was finding out through the paperwork because of the immigration, everything that was in the news was actually quite negative because it was all of this women that are Eastern European and that had a very negative connotation just as I was building my career. And I found it quite difficult for a long time. And I have taken a big flip over the last decade into becoming very proud of being Macedonian and try to be integrated around it, talk about it, and work about, you know, how this can be an unseen diversity, how this can be a difference where you're quite unique. There's no other Macedonians typically this is the first Macedonian crew I'm meeting. And so every time I say I'm Sashka, you know, my name is Sashka Dimitrievska. There is no conference where somebody can say, and now welcome Dr. Dimitrievska. That just doesn't happen. And so it's always a question, where are you from? And where is this country? And for me, it's been a journey to come to a place where I answer this question with a lot of pride and a lot of sort of acknowledgement of where I come from.
Thank you. You can go. Thank you. What about a man?
Oh, no?
We're not skipping men.
Today it's all about the Macedonian woman. So, I was born by a woman, my mother. I was raised by my mother and by my sister. And my big accomplishment of me, I met my wife, who also is a wonderful woman, half Macedonian, half German. I have a wonderful and smart daughter.
Awesome.
I guess that is my big accomplishment.
Dealing with all those women. Meto?
Yes.
All right.
Well, but both of them didn't tell you that UNL is a member of parliament representing Macedonians in Romania, and Mariana Veneta served as the previous member of parliament. So that's a big accomplishment to have Macedonians in parliament.
Yes.
In Romania. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. I'm a feminist at heart because I grew up with strong women, my sister, my mom, and my baba. So, you know, I was raised by them, but I would say, you know, establishing UMD is probably my you know, number one accomplishment, and you know, being friends with many of you and having an opportunity to work with a lot of you over the years. Some of you new, some of you much longer, like Elisa, I've known since like my early days in New York City. And so, but yeah, so I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all for being part of this. So thank you.
Thank
Zana.
you.
Thank you. Wow, this is great. Have you candy?
Toby, please.
All right, this was great, guys. This was great. So, let me put this down. So I will share my 25-year journey in leadership. When I first, a little bit about my life in Macedonia. I had the most beautiful life in Macedonia till I was 16 years old. I swam every day at the lake. I lived in Struga. I joined gymnastics for 8 years. I was a gymnast, thinking that one day I will go to the what you call it?
National team?
The Olympics, yeah. I sure was in the race though, but, and also I sang in chorus. I played in the valleys, picking flowers, beautiful childhood outside. I wish the kids now have that childhood that we had there. Came in United States at 16. Now I had my friends there. I said to myself, oh my God, how am I gonna continue this life here? I was fine for a year, but then as young and resilient woman, I said to myself, okay, I'm here to stay. So I went to Garfield High School. Anybody know Garfield? I think everybody, whoever comes in America, first they go to Garfield, right? I love Garfield, so I went to Garfield High School. Garfield High School had a lot of Macedonian people there. Polish, I mean, rozumiesz po polsku. I learned Polish and Italian people, everybody there. So I started playing. I said, oh my God, this is hope. This is the best country in the world. And the greatest thing that for the first time, my father was working everywhere due to the economic situation in Macedonia. He was everywhere working as a mason. So there was not a lot of work there, so he would work in Slovenia here, there. This is the first time we were going to be a family. So I actually immigrated through Canada at age of 16, and it took me a while to get my papers, but that was not a problem. The best thing when I started college, and every subject was hard, guys. Every subject was like a different language for me. So I finally finished college. That was like, oh my God, my first person in my family, my entire family was here. I was the only one that graduated. And the funny thing is, nobody came to my graduation. And they're like, no, don't worry about it. This is you. Go call your friends. It's great. And for years, and I'm going to talk about limiting beliefs later, but for years I said to myself, wow, why was I so upset of my parents or my relatives not coming to my graduation? But for me, it was the greatest thing. Graduating college was such a proud moment. It was like, I don't know how, as a Macedonian woman from Macedonia, that I came here and I finished college. I don't know if it was possible for me in the past, but going to college, I joined the student government. I was so excited because I believe so much in community. You can't be alone, no matter what you do. I always, the best leadership skill that I feel I have is building relationships with people. Any people. I can strike a conversation with anybody. And my husband's the opposite. I met him in Croatia, by the way, 14 years ago when I went on vacation. And I'm a world traveler. I love to travel the world because we work hard here, don't we? We work hard, and I said, I love to see the world. And also, I embrace diversity and inclusion. I embrace differences. I'm so proud to tell you that the last 2 years, and we're talking about biggest accomplishments, when a person goes through adversity and you see that something is going to change in your family, and that was the time when it was the pandemic for me. What happened is my younger brother was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, and I'll tell you in a couple of minutes about all the different roles I had. But this is so important because what a person can accomplish in their life when they're hit with something so deep, which is a family, right? What hurts us the most? if you feel hurt from someone, it's the family. Because if it's somebody from outside, you don't feel as hurt, right? But you know your younger brother, because we came to the United States together. He was 12 and I was 16. So I heard this news and I was working. I had a 6-year-old and I said to myself, what's happening? Every morning I would wake up and I said, hey, this cannot happen. My brother has 3 months to live. You know, he's part of our freeze, you know, it's two of my brothers, an older brother, me, and him. I was like, this cannot happen. But as a leader, as a resilient leader, I always would say, okay, let's make a plan. Because he was taking care of somebody that was sick too. His fiance before the wedding got diagnosed with with the Wagner's disease. So she was sick for 15 years. He took care of her. And I had a gathering. It was an August day, and I love always gatherings and inviting people over. And she said that he couldn't breathe, so that's when we found out that he had stage 4 cancer. So what do you do? Like, you know, how do you help somebody that's younger than you? That's like your son. You're like, oh my God, he has 3 months to live. What do you do? Well, I said to myself, you know what? We're gonna celebrate every day that we're with him. Every single day, whatever he goes, we're gonna celebrate. And he was the most beautiful human being. This is him. So what I said, I'm gonna write a book about your journey. So my emotional intelligence, when I talk about him, it's very weak. I'm working on it. But I built a legacy for him and his positive belief, because what we did those 2 years, the 3 years that he had, we did in 2 years, we upped our celebration. Everybody got together, not just from family, but from cousins, everybody around the world. And I said, well, where were you guys when he was well? So think about it. Every single day, we have to celebrate our lives. We celebrate people. So we celebrated. I said to him, you know what? I want to write my book in business, but I said, I really want to write about your journey because you're so positive. And we're going to do 40 love suggestions for the world, for anything difficult. As funny as a mother's love is like nothing in the world. Protect your mom's feeling, especially when the child is suffering. As we say in Macedonian, the blessing is always under your mother's feet. This is loving suggestion number 17. So just like, or call the loved one at nighttime. Or, you know, I felt that we need more love, especially the people that were suffering. So these are my 2 biggest accomplishments, the 2 books and also my sons. But I couldn't have done that. I waited 25 years to do all this because something deeply hurt me. I say to everybody, don't wait to have that cafe that you want to have. Don't wait. Just have your cafe and you still do the other things on the side. Don't wait to be a teacher if you want to be, or travel the world. Where do you want to go? So life is short. And I saw that 2 years ago. Life is really short. And I said to myself, I had really, really great career. I started in Macy's as a branch manager, and then I worked towards being a buyer in the city, and I mean, I was like, that was a dream come true for me to work in the city at Herald Square. But I was a buyer for women's department, women's lingerie and cosmetics. And then later on, I worked for Marshalls as an operational. So I had every single side of business operations, customer experience at Marshalls, and I hired a team of 90 people for the brand new Marshalls stores. Who loves to shop in Marshalls? Everybody loves to shop in Marshalls, right?
So it's just there.
Yeah, I think that Marshalls clothed me for the rest for so many years that I've been here. After that, I went into banking. I said, I cannot do this all these hours, morning, night, 8 hours. And I said, wow, I'm late. I'm 37. Maybe I should get married. Trying to get married one day instead of just working all the time. I enjoyed my life. I had cousins here, and then I started working for the bank. And the bank, I did branch manager for 5 different branches, and from underperforming, reason behind this book. So when I embrace my team as a leader, so you embrace anything, everything about that team. Where they from? I learn about that team. You know, for example, I had my Indian friend, banker that I went to the pharmacy, and she was there. She says, you know, I used to go to the pharmacy next door all the time. It was Rite Aid, and she said, here's a coupon for your eye drops. I said, and it was manufactured coupon. And I said, this girl is amazing. Like, who would even think, okay, I know this lady from the bank. She always comes with, and let me cut this coupon. How thoughtful is that, right? So when I think about hiring, I always hired with character. Somebody that was nice, somebody that had warmth. And how do you know in half an hour if somebody has warmth? You just take a shot, right? And you hope that everything's going to be nice. But if somebody's talking to you, you have great examples, and you feel it from the heart. So I hired people like that. I built a team, cohesive team, with all nationalities, or wherever they're from. I embraced. We would watch international movies. I would have outings, potlucks, all that stuff, and I cared about their development. So to care about people as a leader, you have to care about somebody's development. You have to see their vision before they do, and you have huge vision for them. So I had huge vision for Rena, that Indian lady that came, and she was in her country, I believe an accountant, but she had 2 children. She was raising her children, and she just did anything, which was the Rite Aid at the cashier. So I hired her as an example, and I rolled up my sleeves. I know it was going to be difficult, that I had to teach her the computer, but hey, I delegated a lot because everybody was cross-trained. Everybody knew, from a banker to a teller to a service manager. Everybody knew everybody's job, and they wanted to, because hey, you never know who gets sick or who's not there, and I didn't want to always be the one, you know, pushing. So I gave them an autonomy to lead. So that's another thing that a leader, to become a great leader, and to move from, and my book is about moving from manager to a leader. That's a great trait. Being able to recognize the strength of your team, building them to where they need to go, to their destination. And for me, when anybody would get promoted, I would celebrate them. Because guess what? For so many people, I felt I brought such a beautiful life for their family, their children, you know, in America. So that was the first person. When this striked with my brother, I said to myself, I'm not doing that. I'm not going back and working for someone, because I had the biggest break after the 5 branches. I got into a risk manager, so I managed diverse, larger teams, diverse company, diverse teams, and larger teams. I actually just managers I managed in the risk lands. So I would go and do audits and anything that had to do with the operation of the branches, I did. And then the biggest thing happened for me when I had my son. After so many years, I was like 42 years old when I had my son, and I was so excited, so happy, even though that was the department that I struggled with for 5 years. I had, you know, fertility issues, and I said to myself, this is never going to happen, because sometimes we go to one direction. We sometimes need balance. What we were talking about earlier, balancing your life is very, very important. So I had my son, and still worked and worked days and 6 days. This is 25 years for 6 days. And I said to myself after the pandemic, I said to myself, and my brother being gone after the 2 years, I said, no, I want to live my life with my son. And I'm going to have to carve my path to my own success. I built so many dream jobs for other people, brought them to their desired destination, or whatever they wanted to go. So I said, now it's time for me to carve my own path. That's how I decided. So I said to myself, I want a book to serve as an authority and to serve as a legacy for my son. So I dedicated this book for my son and his future children and grandchildren, because I want him to say, oh, one day, what did my mom say about this? it's kindness, it's goodness, it screams empathy and compassion for people without anything in return. That's what I really wanted to build, better leaders right now. And after the pandemic, we know that people want empathy at workplace. People are not going to stand anymore with somebody dictating you with their name badge, right? So, because I live, my older brother has 2 kids, and they're now in their 20s, late 20s, and they're already executives in their jobs because they hop from one place to another. So, Gen Zs and millennials are gonna run, right? So I said, well, I think what we need is more empathy in a workplace. So I'm going to write this. I'm gonna write a best-selling, and how did I do it? I hired my book coach, and it wasn't the first book coach that I hired, it was Christine Gale. She was a public figure that I hired, and I said to myself, maybe I would land a publisher, which I did, a New York publisher. And I said, I'm gonna write this best-selling book. But how do you say to yourself, I'm gonna write my best-selling book? It's very easy. So you visualize. Visualization brought me, and I wanna give you guys, take one of these, and I made copies of, I authored these affirmations. I love affirmations and visualization. So I visualized, whatever you want something, how do you visualize? You sit down and visualize a great life ahead of you. And I'm gonna read that. I will read that for you. I sat down there, I wrote my book in a year with the help. I worked really hard because we had calls, day and night, monthly, weekly, and I rebuilt the community. 8 of us wanted to write their books, and we are an accountability group. So every Saturday, we just exchange ideas and thoughts, and some is falling, and you're picking them up there and saying, no, you gotta keep going. Writing a book is not easy. And then everything else that comes afterwards. In that group, it is amazing the type of people I met. So when I talk about community, being in community is, from everywhere. After my brother passed away, I also landed a writing job. And this is a totally different area. Now you are from business, now you're gonna go, and she knows what I'm talking about. I said, I don't know, but I write poetry and I can write business articles. I can write business articles, so I landed a job for Love of Writers, and they're a Canadian company. And what I love about them is they're 26 international writers from all over the world. And I was like, oh my God, this is where I fit in. I love being global. I love international. Because you know what? You embrace the world. You embrace everybody. You feel like you're part of the globe. So, yes, that was my journey, and with the books. And then I said, okay, now I'm gonna pivot from corporate world to owning my own business, which I actually CK Leadership Learning. I have that company, and also I have for my son, because I actually helped him get, he has the story inside, but I helped him with publishing this book through my CK publishing house. So I opened 2 companies. This is all in 2 years, guys. This is what mindset is. It's fear that stops us, nothing else. I did not have fear after my brother died, and I said, I wrote this book in grief. And I said, I don't care. I'm gonna do this. Why I didn't hear years ago? When I worked for 6 days every day. So the moral of the story is, live your life today, do whatever you wanna do. It's not worth you killing yourself and working all these hours. And if you want freedom, just balance is really good. Or fulfill your heart and see what you want to do in life. Where do you want to go? What makes you happy? Even if you take 5 months off and go to Macedonian and just hang out there with people in the cafes, do that. Just be happy about it. And The best thing to help me every single day with my mindset from grief is reading, learning about affirmations. Every morning before you wake up, just when you wake up, they say, I'm not in the medical field, so somebody from the medical field help me. Affirmations are like a season in the unconscious mind. So before you wake up, just when you wake up, when you're in a alpha state, I think it is. So again, don't quote me on this, but you're in some kind of state, you still want to go and start listening to affirmations. I do listen to Louise Hay. She's my favorite. That's how I started. Marissa Peer is great. Motivational videos I like with Tony Robbins. I went to all UPW, and I do follow these motivational speakers. So what happened, what's the change that this shifted is being responsible for your own development, personal development. So my question is to you, how often do we jot down, we put me time in our calendars? Do we do that in our busy time? Every day running to work, coming back, kids, this, that, dinners. You have to get to the next position as a leader, from a manager to a leader. You have to learn the skills. What are the most important skills that we know? Communication, right? For many years I struggled with it. I said, I'm afraid to speak outside. I used to shake from authority. If somebody was hired, or my senior executives, I had to speak, I was like, oh my God, I no longer do that, because why? Everybody's human being. Say what you need to say. You know why do people do that? Because they're not their authentic self. Say what you have to say in your own words. Yes, maybe you would have a better vocabulary, a longer, stronger vocabulary, or you're going to say things more, in different, better way than me. But I'm sure people understand what is person to have empathy and compassion for others, for people, lead people with integrity, communicating with empathy, right? Those are best skills. So they say that empathy and compassion is a soft skill. Then now we must conquer and learn. That's called a soft skill. How do you learn empathy and compassion? Okay, there's a lot of motivational videos. You gotta feel empathy is when somebody comes to you from your team, you wanna make sure, and they tell you the devastating story. You gotta put yourself in their shoes. That's empathy, okay? And I always practice empathy. Compassion is if you want to help that person go beyond and solve that problem. So that's compassion. So I call empathy and compassion is two children. One is empathy and one is compassion. That's how I always think of myself. It's great to have empathy. Compassion is even better, because I've seen managers and leaders that have both have higher performance teams. So, but to have neither, I think that's a mistake. So I found that in my book. I wrote about how to communicate, empathy and compassion with people. Problem solving is another big skill, right? Who likes to problem solve? Problem solving ideas, right? So, yeah, problem solving is a huge thing, because, at the end of the day, we have to deliver some kind of product or service for somebody in the company. So to problem solve and make sure that you have a smooth customer experience transition. Just keep doing that. So problem solving, it comes with resilience, right? You got to problem solve for many times, and then how can you teach your team problem solve? Is gather as a manager, as a leader, from manager to a leader, gather all the problems, simple problems that you have every single day, and sit down on your meetings with everybody. Go over it. Any complex problems, make sure you jot down so everybody's aware of those problem-solving ability. You gotta teach your team how to problem solve, right? So what other skills we have? Display integrity. Okay, strategic goals, being strategic. So manager pushes processes, right? So the company tells them what to do, they push processes, they'll do. But what does a leader, to become that leader and get the next job, have to be strategic, innovative, use new technology, right? So like I said before, you have to have the vision before they do for you. So as a leader, make sure if this strategy doesn't work and this plan doesn't work, you have to have plan B. plant seed, right? So, and you have to think ahead of your stuff. So that's a really good one. And creating your brand. I talked about celebrating achievements. Everything I do, or my team did, we always celebrate achievements. So from small to big. Even if you see somebody that is discussing, if I saw somebody, one of my team members discussing travel with his customer, I love that. I was like, okay, that's diversity and inclusion. I said, I love that. And I would just give them on the spot feedback. But I will know how they want to be recognized, because some people don't want to be recognized in public. I'm the first one that I want to be recognized in public. How about you, Emma? Yeah?
Just recognize.
Recognize me, celebrate me, right? When people get celebrated, the other one is like, there are other people are like, oh my God, we want a piece of that celebration, right? So celebration and being kind, which brings me, the next thing is create your brand. How do we, so to start your legacy, don't you want to leave a legacy behind or someone, so what is becoming a legacy leader? Legacy leader as opposed to regular leader. So legacy leader is someone that's remembered on this lifetime and after you pass, right? So I believe I'm a legacy builder. I want to build your legacy. I want to build your legacy making sure your children, right, are well on their way to a successful path, right, for their future. And us as mothers, the ones that are mothers, you want your children to succeed. Like I want my sons, for Sammy to succeed. And Sammy wrote that book, and I brought this to light. And now this book is in Barnes & Noble. And we had signing the other day, his first signing. Then another school called and said, hey, we saw you on Instagram. Sammy has Instagram he doesn't even know it. I manage. It's like, oh, we saw Sammy on Instagram. He's going to be there. We would like for him to talk in our class in Patterson. So a coordinator called, and I said, oof, it's a tough one. I still have a challenge because he is an introvert outside, but he's, he plays and he's crazy at home. But outside, he's like, okay, he's a good student. So how do I get him? So that's another challenge that I have to. So little by little, the way I said to him, hey, maybe we'll go. Would you like to go? I don't want to push him. I want to make sure. So I'm building his legacy as I go along. I also have a folder that I put there, his book. I'm putting Barnes & Noble. His book is there. So that's a big accomplishment. He's going to Scouts, right? So Scout is great. That's how I felt. Maybe his shyness outside, it's gonna, balance. And later on, he can be that speaker and say, hey, I wrote a book, or whatever he wants to do in life, This is my dream. Everybody has dreams for their kids, right? To prosper and become what they become. So I have some handouts. I'm gonna give you guys some handouts that and everything that I talked about, just for you guys to have, but we can do one exercise in the interest of time. So I have, what is your brand? So you create your legacy. Here we go, you can pass it down, Emma. This is one.
There you go.
And that's another one.
There are 2 different ones.
Oh yeah, I have for you guys 4 different ones.
Okay.
And I'll talk about them with you. Okay, this is good. Which one I gave you 2? Okay, future reflection and vision.
You're welcome.
So I have your brand. What is your brand? So my brand, and I'll ask if somebody wants to volunteer, what is your brand? My brand as a manager and as a leader was to be somebody that's thoughtful, somebody that, is there for their team, is building relationship, embraces everyone. And what others say about you. You guys have this?
Yeah.
So this is really good one that you can reflect on your questions, right? So what others say about you? And do this questions with somebody that really knows you well and can give you great feedback. So that's what I've done. This is what influence you like to have on others. I like to have Emma to build legacies for her two children. And also for your personal life. What are you gonna do? Then I have a fun one for you guys. All right, now today we're going to embark on a reflective journey to envision our lives at age of 99 years old. So you're 99 years old. You had a great life. You went to Struga, you swam in the lake, you went to Florida, you had a great life, grandchildren, everybody around, right? Future reflection. Are you pursuing your dreams, right? So on the left side, we have 5 things. I am happy that for example, I had my children, or had my career, or I regret that I did it. So you are 99 years old. You're looking back at your life. Your time is almost up. Everybody's around you. You tell your grandchildren, I regret that I didn't. So take 3 minutes to do this exercise. And then partner, once you finished, find a partner you like to know that you don't know well, and share your reflection with each other. Taking turns.